Welcome back to PTSD While Black. I am Quinn, and I'm just doing a little bit of a check in because I forgot to twist up my hair before bed. And I have a drinking problem. I poured water all over my shirt. Anyway, my husband and we attended a couples gathering today, and the subject was on humility. Um, how are we humble enough to see ourselves for how we are and how we show up in our relationships? And recognizing like the defective ways of thinking that um I've learned from my family of origin, and what are some other new ways of thinking that I need to develop in order to have a healthy relationship and to be a healthy partner. And I was like digging into stuff. I like wrote like 3 or 4 pages in my journal during the meeting because I realize how much I think I'm humble, but I'm not. I wish I had the book with me because it talked about we believe the word humble as being the lowest of the low, or of not being too proud or too what's that word that they say that I am all the time? Starts with an R, doesn't it? Arrogant. It does not start with an R. Or being arrogant. We think of humility as just not being that and being low, the lowest of the low. But in reality, and that's okay. So the arrogance part, is about our society of saying try to be the best of the best. And then the lowest of the low is really what religion kind of teaches us as of humility. But we're talking about the definition of humility of being right sized, um, of not being too much and not thinking too little of ourselves, being in the middle. If on a scale of 1 to 10, can I be a 5 in all areas of my life? That's humility. And it was just a very interesting thought process because from my family of origin, and I love the conversation that was had. Um, from my family of origin, being black and in the South, people would often talk down to you. So we developed a lot of confidence in our abilities or to be accomplished at many things so that no one could talk down to you. And it's very hard to be around somebody like that. Hello, that's me. Um I don't have a college education. I have a high school education and a certification as a hypnotherapist. Um So I don't have the education, but black people, black women actually, the people who mostly seek college education in this nation. Um, so we use our education as a way to be more important because society may talk down to us, and then we're not at right sized. We're not honest about who we are, what our needs are, how our feelings are about the situation. And so I really appreciated that this discussion of humility, of just learning how to be right sized, to be honest with what I can and cannot do. And also to be right sized with what I can do. Something my therapist and I have been working on a lot is she mentions that I'm an outlier in society because I think differently. I try to be overly inclusive, and I like to be challenged. I value learning, getting more information, learning how to do stuff. But I'm not very good at social connection and communication. I had social anxiety disorder as a teenager, and I wasn't right sized with my social anxiety disorder either. I was either thinking that I'm not somebody anyone should ever talk to, or I put on the performance, put on the show, and be as shiny as possible. Like the way I got over my social anxiety disorder is I started going to karaoke and singing on stage in front of people and dancing with people and um using fans and everything just to be a peacock. Instead of just allowing myself to be right sized with my abilities and my limitations as well. So that's just like an interesting thought process of allowing myself to be just enough. And so I look at the ways that I'm excessive. I'm super excessive. I talked about in a video earlier about grief, and how I've really idolized death so that I would not be afraid of death. That's kind of been one of my biggest defense mechanisms, is to idolize the things that I'm afraid of or center them so that I'm not scared of it. That's me trying to make up the negative, but it really, then if I'm so focused on death, am I really paying attention to living and to what matters now? Am I allowing myself to grieve so that I can continue living? So it's just helping me to see so many ways that I'm not right sized. And then when I think of the situation with the gang stalking, with a view of sexuality as a survivor of rape, thinking I'm afraid of sex, obsessed with the fear of sex, my way of trying to get over that was to be hypersexual in my discussions, to be um over the top. Like, I understand people were totally annoyed about my voice acting and doing, like, the, 18 plus and the adult scenes, but really, it was so that I can get over my fears around sex and to look like I was, normal like everybody else who has not been raped, who has accepted their situation, who's gotten over their trauma. That's what I think. That was my definition of it. And so I realized that that's my old mechanism that I'm still using. And it was so funny because in the meeting I was giving myself like these different categories of life. And let's see, I said, socially I'm a 4, financially, as knowledge, financial knowledge 6, looks I'm a 4 because of my size, but otherwise, baby, I'm I'd be a 5 or 6 if I took better care of my health. Status in society, I'm a 3 because I'm somebody who's differently abled. I have little to no income and I don't have a college education. Um Common sense though, I'm a 2. Gotta be right sized. Y'all, I ain't got no common sense. None whatsoever. I'm a highly intelligent person in a lot of other areas, but being human, no. Being polite, I'm rude as fuck because of this brain injury. It's like well, even before the brain injury, I was rude as fuck. But I like cutting people off and stuff like that. So it's like I'm a 2. I gave myself a 2. And because I have been focusing on healing around sex and sexuality, I graded myself a 7 because of that included, how I'm addressing body image issues. It included how I'm learning to speak to my needs and to ask for boundaries, to say I'm uncomfortable with things. So, like, sexually, I'm rating myself a 7. So, it's, can I get right sized with who I am? My goal is to be a 5 in every area, 5 or 6. Um, to be humble, to be the middle of the road instead of hyper in behavior, or hypo is the low, isn't it? I don't know. Um, yeah, can I be right sized? Can I not be so blunt? Um, I know with my brain capacity, I have certain amounts of focus that are available. But if I am fatigued or if I'm exerted or didn't take my medication for my seizures, if I am, what's that word? Stressed? Eh, it's something like stressed. But if I've done too much, sunsetting, I'm gonna be very blunt and cutting things off because I lose language, I lose communication. And so, I'm even less than what I was before the injury. So I'm having to accept that. This back section needs a little bit more moisture. Um, so I'm starting to come to terms with what I have learned, what I have, how I've survived this life, and that I can have the goal of being right sized, to not be the lowest of the low, to not be well. That's one of my goals. Is I want to be the laziest, dumbest, least motivated person in any group I'm in because that gives me a chance to grow. I can always learn something new. Versus for me, I know if I am the smartest person in the room, well, one, we're screwed, but two, um, I'm just gonna do these in big chunks so I can go to bed. Um, it's probably gonna come undone in the middle of the night. But if I've got room to grow, that means I can come up from 0 and get to 5. But if I'm the smartest person in the room, then I'm already at 10 and I need to be able to come down, and that's not a I don't really get a space to come down evenly. So that's why I look for people who are smarter than me to be around, or who have skills that I do not have that I need to be around so that I can learn to come up in that way. Um, yeah, because I've spent a large part of my life. One of the other things that was brought up by my beautiful husband, he initiated this topic, telling on his shit about how we uh s- be the lowest of the low, but to feel important by giving service to others or doing something for others, that we get our self-worth from doing things for others. And really it's all self-serving for me. I was like evaluating myself. I'm like, oh my God, that's so self-serving. So even though what I know what my problem is that I position myself into being able to give advice, to fix or change things for others, when really I need to focus on taking care of me. But that's because my mother was somebody who was differently abled, and I believed that I needed to take care of her, but excuse me, Quinn, she was taking care of herself for 28 years before you were born. So she had some skill on her own and she didn't need me to take care of her. But so I get to see that that's my defective behavior and I need to become right sized around it. Um, and I love how when this discussion we were having in the group is asking God, the divine, the universe, all that is, what have you, to remove our defective thinking, our family of origin lessons that we had. And I realized that I've been trying to do it on my own. And so what happens is, like I said, in August, I think I did a rededication to removing my defective behaviors. Um, Trying to be more in alignment with how would the universe have me be? Well, if I've got these very bad defective behaviors of trying to be the lowest of the low, to try to be overly serving and giving too much information, or too caretaking, um, if I'm trying to correct it on my own and I'm doing a crap job of it, the universe is going to bring me situations and circumstances in which I will have to change because I said that I want to change in this area. So I'm able to look at the crappy situation with the gang stalking and to look at, okay, well, what I needed to learn to do was to speak up for myself and to take care of myself. Ow. And to prioritize my own well-being and needs instead of prioritizing the needs of others, and to also admit, where are my limitations, where am I wrong, but to stop trying to be the lowest of the low or to look like a good person, to people who cannot see my humanity, who couldn't acknowledge my humanity, who couldn't communicate. They didn't have that capacity to have healthy communication. Instead, the logic was to um, stalk and spread rumors and to hack computers and phones. Um, that's somebody who doesn't have that capacity, and I need to respect that that's where that person is, but I still have a responsibility to take care of me. Oh, okay. To be responsible to Quinn. So, um, it was just a really good coming to size moment. Because here's the thing, I catch myself acting out in unhealthy ways because I'm not honest with myself about what I can and cannot do, how I really feel. Am I being judgmental? Am I being, what was I writing about? Am I trying to think that I'm better than anybody else? Um, I act out the tap dancing, the being on stage, the guilt, my self-injury that I still do to punish myself is compulsive overeating. It's codependency. It's sexual avoidance, sexual anorexia, and then sexual obsession. It's shopping, it's debting, it's underbeing, it's overworking. I do all these compulsive behaviors to avoid how I feel about not being right sized, about not being average. Can I let myself be average? So, if I want to stop those behaviors, then I need to be honest with myself and I need to be honest with others about what I can and cannot do. And what I'm learning right now is to be honest with myself about what I need for safety. What do I need to feel well? Um so I'm glad that I get to have this as something to reflect on and to possibly be able to change. And I really appreciated looking at if I'm trying to be of service to others, um, what am I trying to get from the situation? And how am I judging the other people of being incapable of doing something for themselves? Because they are capable. And really, the goal is to become right sized and to realize that I am whole, and so are those that I'm assisting. They're fully capable of taking care of themselves. So that's a really good awareness, a bit of awareness today. Because like in my marriage, my husband is showing me in 1,001 ways the things that I think that I needed to take care of for him, he can do. But like we both had the flu this last week. I still have the cough, but I'm taking my cayenne tea to help. Honey, ginger, and cayenne tea helps so much with the cough. But anyway, um, I'm trying to over caretake my husband. And I have to stop multiple times and go, I love you. I'm afraid of losing you. I want you to be well. I'm the one who's afraid. So could you please take your vitamins? Could you please take your medicine? Um, and then I have to let it go. I can speak my need and then I just have to let it go and to know that I love him and I want him to be well. But he's an adult and can take care of himself. So that's a whole thing, but he won't. Well, a large part of the time you won't. But you've been doing such a good job of taking care of yourself these past few days. I'm glad that you're drinking water and not just sodas. um, but it's just learning to um accept that he's capable and that I need to speak to my needs. so that I'm not overworking, being codependent with him, or overeating over my fears of his well being. And the other thing is, if I'm a considerate wife, I'd take my ass to bed on time so that he can get some sleep. What? Yeah. Yeah. So, with this last twist, I'm going to wrap this up. But it was just a wonderful thought process on becoming right sized around ideas and really looking at my own behavior. I was so grateful, so grateful for the discussion today. All right. Feel free to leave comments about how you're learning to see and be right sized about who you are as a person. All right. Till next time, friends. Peace.